Okay, we have a double header here on the South Florida Tribune Broadcasting Network. Why am I loud? Well, you know what? When I'm wearing an Army shirt, it means be all you can be, and that's what we're going to do. So for you military people that endorse in the Army and the Navy, the Marines, Coast Guard, wherever, be all you can be. We're proud that you take care of it. Did I miss anybody? Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, we got them all, and the Coast Guard too. Well, anyways, here we are, the real and the rare. This is our show where we like to promote books. And obviously, I have a new member of the team that has a pair of them. But before I'm going to make that introduction right now, his name is Igor Ganapolsky. How did I do on the name?
Great.
Working on it. Have to get it right. Otherwise, that's considered reputational bad stuff here. And George Eichhorn, hello out there. So what we're going to do here is want to let everybody know that the real and the rare is being broadcast around the world. That's all. And the audio version of the real and the rare can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for more subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Send your topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, give me a call at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Our website is www.southfloridatribune.com. You want to locate us on Twitter? No problem. /X @Tribune South. Candy Ebling is producing the broadcast. And I have a book out there called Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders, available in Kindle and Amazon. So with that said, let me introduce my special guest tonight. As I said, Igor Ganapolsky. And Igor, first of all, why don't you give everybody an overview of yourself?
Sure. So my name is Igor, and I was born in the Ukraine in 1979, and I came to New York 10 years old with my family and grew up in New York and lived many years there. And I got involved in topics such as martial arts as a youth. That was very helpful to me growing up. It helped me in many ways. And professionally, as an adult, I studied computer science and got into IT and information technology, and been doing that for many years. And I've moved to Florida about 5 years ago, and I decided to kind of put two of these passions and skills together, start publishing books, about martial arts and boxing and personal development, which is another passion of mine, and just using my IT skills to create books and share information with people. And be of help and of service.
All right, we have our first chat in there from Jesse Stuber. What's up, Scott? Well, you know what? We're talking books tonight. Jesse, thanks a lot for joining us. We appreciate you very much. We always enjoy the people that participate in the chat room. Jesse's been a friend of the show and all of our shows, so we thank him, and hopefully we'll have a lot more traffic. So with that said, okay, Igor, obviously somebody had to find somebody. How did you end up finding me and the South Florida Tribune?
Right. I published these two books, the first one being Boxing Home Workouts for Beginners, and the second one being Powerful Social Skills for Teens last year. And I decided a good way to promote and to connect with people in my community is to reach out to the influencers. So I reached out to libraries and school districts and Chamber of Commerce and stuff. And I reached out to quite a few radio shows and newspapers, and Scott, you were the one who responded to me, and you told me that you'd be interested in meeting with me and promoting my books.
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm actually getting a message from Irma Perone right here as we speak through Messenger. So, and I think that's the thing, that Irma Perone is an individual who I've known a long, long time. And you know what? I decided, I needed a designated show to be able to promote books. And that's why it was important to bring you on. You have one of those great mindsets where you like to go out there and write books. And I think that's the one thing so many people realize, that, when you look at, there's so much creativity locked up in all of this, that I think it's important to be able to bring that out of people.
Yes, sir.
So,
absolutely.
Tell me so go ahead and tell me what motivated you to write your first book, Boxing Home Workouts for Beginners.
Sure. Like I said, I did a lot of martial arts as a youth, and as an adult, I got back into martial arts, especially when I moved here to Florida. And a friend recommended that I take up boxing a few years ago, and I joined the school here in Coral Springs. It's called ABC Boxing on Wiles Road. It's run by Scott Ashley, who's a world champion kickboxer, also former professional boxer. And so when I started boxing there, I fell in love with the sport. It was just so great uh, for my health, my mindset, my confidence. And I met a lot of other people there at the school who shared the same outlook. They said it changed their life and in ways they couldn't anticipate. So I decided to write a book for beginners, to tell them how they could start working out at home. Maybe they're not ready to join the school, or they have no interest in competing, but they want to get fit and they don't want to just go to the gym and use machines. And so I figure boxing is an awesome way to get fit. And I just want to share beginner steps of how people can start doing that in their home, with no money or very cheap. So,
Well, boxing is a sport that's very dear to me because I've had the opportunity over the years to interview Muhammad Ali, Sugar Ray Leonard, James Toney, Chuck Wepner. And I've always thought that boxing is a sport that has such a glorious history. It's just a shame that it's really fallen off the map, is really what it has. But, I think about my history in the sport, it's just unbelievable. And for you to be able to write a book on boxing for workouts for beginners, I think is a credit to what you're really doing anyways. I just think that the sweet science, Igor, to me, is unfortunately nowadays with millennials, with UFC and all these, is really being lost in everything that its incredible past is.
I agree. It used to be the sweet science even 100 years ago, and I've studied the history of it. And in New York, especially, it had a lot of shows and boxing competitions. So it's changed over the years.
So as we go back on boxing home workouts for beginners, I know, what was your mindset when you created the idea? I know you probably answered it a little bit, but some people want to know, there's so many different workouts, but what separates boxing is one where you could go out there and differentiate it from the cardio and all those sort of things out there, because boxing uses a lot of different body parts, where cardio, you get different types of workouts.
Yes, and in boxing, my experience has been that it includes all of those benefits. You get the cardio, you get the strength training, you get, balance, conditioning, endurance, mindset. And that's what motivated me to write this book, is because I've never come across any kind of workout or sport that addressed all of these aspects in one under one umbrella. And that was my experience when I started boxing. Is my fitness grew so much, my footwork improved, my
Right.
mindset, my confidence, and most importantly, the coordination skills. The mind body connection that improves a lot with boxing. And it doesn't necessarily mean you have to be a professional. I'm not a professional. I'm a
Right.
hobbyist, and I decided to just share the techniques I learned and the workouts I learned at ABC Boxing with people who are interested in working out. So.
Well, boxing for many, many years was a great Olympic sport, and we saw a lot of great fighters from all weight classes actually participate. I don't have to get into it a lot, but let's face it, at that time they wore the headgear when you're dealing with amateur sports, because we all know the residual effects with boxing are attributed to Parkinson's disease. But while we're not going ahead and talking about it in a sense about what the residual effect, the one thing that can't be lost in all of this is you've taken a sport and you found a way to simply make it good for home workouts. You find a lot of people buy those bags, and I know down here in Florida we don't have basements, okay, where they actually buy those things and they're able to use it in their spare bedroom.
Yeah, so in addition to having a bag that you could hang, and from a ceiling beam, which I have in my garage, I talk about that in my book. You could just get one of those stand-up bags with a base, and you could put it in your living room or bedroom if you don't have a garage, and you could
Right.
use that as a substitute.
Excellent. So let's talk about your second book, Powerful Social Skills for Teens. Where did you come up with that?
Well, that's kind of a continuation of my first book, because I do mention boxing and martial arts in general in this book, Powerful Social Skills for Teens, as a motivator and a skill that teens can use to improve their social life. My motivation is that as a teen myself, I know that sports and martial arts greatly helped me, even though I was not really socially confident. And so I know nowadays teens are all on their phones, their devices, social media. They don't really interact a lot with each other. And I decided I could share how they could use, sports like boxing and other martial arts to improve their social skills, make friends. And also, as I said, personal development is a big hobby of mine. So I worked with a social worker on this book. He's a clinical psychologist with teenagers, and he designed a lot of the exercises for these teenagers to use that he's used in his own practice. So that was my motivation, is to just give back to the teenage community.
So are you saying that these books are interrelated?
They are interrelated. The first book I think is more for adults, and the second book, Social Skills for Teens, is more for teenagers. But the premise is the same: is tools you can use to empower yourself. When you're struggling in life, and these are the tools I've used myself to empower myself, and that's what I wanted to share.
Okay, let's go to the comment by Jesse Stuber. I like what Jesse brings to the table. Oh, nice, great idea. I want to stay in shape, but I'm getting tired of either having to go to the gym or do cardio, because cardio is not easy to do what I want to do. I own a home in Alabama, but I'm no longer down there. So there you go. So what's your response to what Jesse said there, Igor?
Well, Jesse, I think you will enjoy boxing because the workouts that I explain in the book can be done by anybody in the home or in your backyard or in the park, and you don't have to pay for a gym membership. And like I said, you'll see gains really quickly if you start doing these exercises such as shadow boxing or hitting the bag or using the jump rope. So I know you said running is not your thing, but there's many other techniques and workouts you can do that can get you really fit without going to the gym.
Now, let's go back to boxing for a moment, because I've often wondered about this. Did you ever draw anything from the Rocky movies about the way he had his feet tied in a little bit and some of the movements where there's certain body parts restricted, so that you're able to incorporate that into what you're doing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these kind of restricted exercises. I mean, we did quite a few of those at the school, ABC boxing, and that really, yeah, that really helps. I think that helps more for people who are training, to compete and fight. It's not really necessary for beginners, but if you want to challenge yourself, then definitely it helps with footwork and keeping your elbows in and stuff like that.
Let's face the reality. One of the most popular boxing movies of all time is the Rocky series, where a lot of people can relate to it, especially since there's been a continuation in the sequels. Not like it ended at one or two, but it ended with five or six of them, and that's why I'm bringing that up. All right, so like anything else, you have to have an idea, Igor. How long has this idea been in your head? Let's start with boxing home workouts for beginners. Yeah, there's always an idea, and there's always a way for what you have it in your head. So how long has it been there until you decided time to do it?
I would say about 2 years. I joined the ABC boxing school here in Colorado Springs about 2 years ago, and what motivated me was Coach Scott, the owner of the school. He wrote a book too. It's called The Road to the Title. It's about his life and how he became a professional boxer, kickboxer, and he grew up in New York and stuff. And I'm not at his level for sure, and he had a very long life. But I thought, well, maybe I could write something that could motivate people too, just beginners at least,
Right.
to start using boxing. And so that's been in my mind for about 2 years.
Okay. Well, let's go to the second book, Powerful Social Skills for Teens. Obviously you put the first one to bed, so you decided to go out there and work on the second. Was there any particular time when that began to get your wheels turning?
Well, I'd say this topic has been on my mind for many years. Like I said, like personal development and self empowerment have always been my interests, my hobbies, so to speak. And for many years now, maybe over 5 years, I've wanted to give back something to the teenage community, and I didn't know how to do it at first. I thought maybe I could get involved with an orphanage or don't donate some money, but then I decided, well, I could write a book with all these skills and strategies that teenagers, I believe, need these days, to empower themselves to be more social and improve their social skills. And I'd say about 5 years it's been on my mind and percolating.
So when you began writing them, okay, obviously like anything else, the way I look at it is, were you looking to hire a ghostwriter, or did you decide I'm going to do this on my own and see how I can do this? Because sometimes people are tentative about writing something like this, or they're looking to take the plunge and see what happens. Oh, it's not as bad as I thought it was.
Well, that's a good question. I don't consider myself a writer. That's not my background. But the first book, Boxing Workouts for Beginners, I pretty much wrote myself, just with the help of, ChatGPT to format and edit stuff. But mostly that was my own creation. But the second book, I actually did work with a ghostwriter, and like I said, it was actually a clinical psychologist who works with teenagers, and he helped write this book. So I gave him the outline and the topics and all the chapter contents, and he put the exercises and the materials together. So I took that approach.
Okay, so let's talk about how you're marketing your books. How are you
So,
marketing them?
there's many ways to do it. I find the free ways are usually very effective, such as using Goodreads.com, which is a website. It's owned by Amazon. And that's where authors can connect with readers, and readers can connect with authors, and authors can connect with each other, and review each other's books, read each other's books, comment on them, start a discussion. So that's been a very helpful website for me to get reviews. Um, Before I launched the book, I did some Facebook advertisements. I joined some books, some Facebook groups. For example, for teenagers, there's groups that are specifically geared for parents of teenagers, or teenage skills, social skills groups. So I joined some of those groups and just promoted my books and gave away free copies to people who were interested, and asked them for a review on Amazon. Um, Again, both of those ways are free. But beyond that, big scale marketing does require some advertising. So I started running Amazon ads, and I got into that, as well as even running paid at Facebook ads. So those have been like my four main methods of advertising.
Let's go back to the chat room. George Icorn loved all the Rocky movies. I think they were all good. I don't know. For some reason, I like 1 through 4 the most, and then maybe the one with his son, and then Tommy Morris. They didn't do a whole lot for me, but again, everybody has a different taste. Okay, back to Jesse. I'm almost 30 BTW, so, and then the adult book is more for me. So there you go. It just goes to show you, you have 2 different books that meet different types of criteria is what you do, which is why when you go out there and come up with books, you're looking for age, where you fit the demographics is what you do. So, all right. So I guess the biggest, hardest question you're going to have to answer, and I know I really put you on the spot all night. Why should people buy your first book?
Well, I believe there's not a lot of guidance out there for people to work out at home, with non-traditional ways. I think most exercise books revolve around weights or gyms or equipment. And I know there's a lot of yoga and all that, those kinds of books, and they're all great. I've tried them all myself, but I haven't seen any boxing books that actually are geared towards beginners and how to use boxing as a workout regimen. And I think that's where it's unique. So if you're looking to get fit and to get in great shape and build your strength and agility and your coordination, I think boxing will be very unique. This book will be very unique for you, and it's going to work because it's short, it's to the point, and the exercises are very easy to follow.
So how long would you say that a boxing workout should take?
In this book, I advise about an hour, but of course, I also advise people just start at their own pace. Everybody's starting maybe from the beginning, so run maybe a couple of miles or walk a couple of miles, and then do some jump rope, and then do some hit the back for a few minutes. So you start wherever you can.
Let's go back to the chat room. Okay. Candy Ebling, your adult boxing, is it for women as well as men?
Yes, it's for everybody, and I actually have pictures in that book. Women using jump ropes or women hitting the bags, as well as men doing it. So it's for both genders.
Okay. Joshua Bernstein, friend of the show. What's going on? I'll tell you what's going on. Igor is talking a couple of books and a lot of books here that a lot of individuals can relate. That's what's going on. So glad you can be a part of the whole show, Joshua. And of course, George Eicher, we have young boys and girls taking up boxing in a gym in Detroit, and they seem to love the sport.
Yeah, it's a great sport for teens, and in the boxing studio where I signed up in here in Coral Springs, Florida, most of the competitors were teens, teens to early 20s, and it's a great sport for teenagers. Like it really builds confidence.
Okay, let's talk about your second book. Why should people go out there and get the second one? Powerful Social Skills for Teens. I think this is pretty good when you deal with the teenagers nowadays, let alone any era.
Yes, I think this book is also unique and has a lot of value because it addresses several things. First of all, it addresses, the benefit of martial arts and including boxing as well as other martial arts, and how teens can use it to make friends, to meet friends at these martial arts studios, to get their friends on board to come join them and go train with them. I think that's very unique. I haven't seen many books, for teens advising or supporting them to take that approach. Um, Another unique aspect of this book is it touches on topics that's really relevant and timely, such as, social media could be very distracting and detriment to teenage social lives. They need to get out there and connect in person. And again, I haven't seen too many books that address this issue for today's teens. And my book does go into great detail. Like I said, a clinical psychologist wrote a lot of these exercises, cognitive behavioral exercises for teens to follow. I think they're very unique, and I think they'll be better than many other books out there.
So are you saying that one of your objectives with not one, but both books is to try to be very different and take people away from the norm of how they go about doing things? I think the one word I preface, okay, is different. I've learned in all my years in the media that if you're different, then that to me stands out from the crowd.
Yes, and I wanted to be different. I wasn't trying to copy anybody. I just wanted to give my own personal experience, and I know stuff that works, and I wanted to give that, to the readers. And I wanted to be different, and most importantly, effective. I wanted these strategies and techniques to be effective.
Hello, Ralph Williams. He's another friend of the show. See, you got an audience, Igor. Look at this chat room. I love reading it, and we're getting them from a lot of different ways. So, main thing is, how can people get both your books?
So they're both on Amazon. You could find them under my name, Igor Ganapolsky. The second book is published under a pen name, Max Smith, because I wanted to use a pen name for this first. It's my first book in this category, and I just wanted to use a pen name. I wasn't comfortable using my own name, but both books are on Amazon, Igor Ganapolsky and Max Smith. Like I said, I'm also on Goodreads.com, which links to Amazon because Amazon owns Goodreads. I'm also on LinkedIn. If anybody's interested in contacting me, I could send you a free reader copy of any of these books. And lastly, I'm also on the Independent Authors Network. It's a website for self-publishers and authors, and that's independentauthors.network.com. And you'll find both of my books there under my name, Igor Ganapolsky.
Is there an advantage to using your regular name versus a pen name? I think a lot of people have often wondered. Me personally, I'd rather have my own name, but some people may not be comfortable giving out their personal information. So I'll always stick to my own name. But what about you? You obviously went both directions.
Yeah, I haven't gone in both directions. I wanted to find out for myself. I don't think there's anything good or bad either way. Personally, I would prefer using my real name going forward for my future books. But like I said, in this category that I wrote, Social Skills for Teens, it was my first book, and I just felt more comfortable giving a pen name and see how that goes. But I don't think there's anything wrong or right with it.
So you're saying the first one with teens was your first book. Is that correct?
No, the boxing workouts for beginners were my first book, and that's my real name.
Okay, just want to make
Right.
sure we clarify. You went with your original name, Igor Ganapolsky, for boxing, then you opted to go to pen name second. Is that correct?
Correct. So in that category for teenagers on Amazon, that specific niche, that was my first book there. That's why I went with a pen name. So
Okay. Well, just to let everybody know that Igor Ganapolsky will be a guest on Pundit Pundit in about 3 to 4 weeks from now. We have other plans. I want to make an announcement while Igor is on the line that I have named him senior advisor for the South Florida Tribune Publishing Division. Igor is going to be helping me out with guidance to try to steer me in the right direction. And this is an area where I really need him. And obviously, he's been through a lot more experience in terms of marketing. I think between the two of us, we'll be able to create a very interesting dynamic, not only doing this show, other shows together, but we're also have plans to do a South Florida Tribune podcast show where we'll talk about book publishing as well. So yeah, Igor Ganapolsky, obviously the author of 2 books, and now he's going to join me here at the South Florida Tribune once again as senior advisor. advisor for the book publishing division, and it's important that everybody has good people around them. I'm very proud of the people I have around me, but this is an area that I'm going to be spending more time in as time goes on, in addition to reporting at events and as well as doing a lot of meaningful broadcasts. So I thought it was important to bring him on here, just to let everybody know that at 9 p.m. Eastern time, we have the Sports Exchange. JB Ellis, Jacob Christner, George Eichhorn, and I will be on tonight. So if you can hang around here and stay on our network, then we'll have some good, meaningful sports talk as well. So anything else you want to add, Igor, about what we've talked about? I know you and I have a lot of good plans ahead of us, but what are you looking to accomplish in terms of what our relationship is going forward?
To write books that could educate and empower people and be different, like you said, not copy anybody, not try to follow anybody's lead, but really, you have a lot of experience, Scott, in your industry. I have some experience in my own life, and just be different and provide value to people with our own experience.
Well, I expect us to be a great 1-2 punch. And I know that, again, with my broadcasting background, social media, and I've written a lot. George Eichhorn, just so you know, who you see in the chat room, him and I have been working together for over 44 years. And we ended up getting our first gig together when I was a producer at WXYZ Radio, which was ABC in Detroit. So I'm going to surround you with a lot of media people, in addition to my working relationship with those at Sideline Sports as well. You'll get to know Jacob Christner, Denzel Snipes, myself, and George on that show, but then it's going to be you and I talking about book and publishing as well. So I pretty much want to make sure that your books got out there. And for Irma Perone, who is watching the show or at least knows about it, Irma, the reason why you're mentioned on here is your book, okay, whether you know it or not, okay, is still, they're watching that show. People don't always have to watch a show immediately 1 or 2, 3 days after the fact. They could be watching a month later. That's the advantage of having a network where we don't take anything off. And that's exactly why everything we do lives on for good. And that's why Igor has just found himself on this network, because this show will live on. And in his case, there's going to be an awful lot more to do as we start to expand our platforms with his books on other websites as well as ours as well. So it's an interesting dynamic, and I've always liked challenges to be able to do exactly what we've got to do. So I'll go over this one more time. Okay. The Real and the Rare is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of The Real and the Rare can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for more subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? Well, you know what? Had a lot of people in the chat room, and some of them have been guests. So there you go. Or send your top idea at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, give me a call at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. Our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. Igor will be on it really soon. And our Twitter/X is at Tribune South. Candy Ebling is behind the scenes producing the show. And once again, my book out there is called Lessons from the Microphone. Pretty much emphasizes old school media versus new school media, tuning into the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders, available on Kindle and Amazon. Before I let you go, what were some of the things, Igor, that you took from my book? Because I know you've had an opportunity to look at it a couple of times.
My favorite thing that I took from your book is when you talk about when you were getting started in the radio industry, as a young man, you faced some challenges, from people who were more experienced, and they gave you pushback on what you're allowed to say, what you're not allowed to say. And you kind of took the bull by the horns, and you showed initiative, and you stood for what you believe in. And you said, stuff on the radio that you believed in, and you open up opportunities for yourself. I think it's a great lesson for young people. Anybody who's starting out in any industry, just be brave and bold and be yourself.
And not only that, I appreciate you saying that. It's also, the book is designed to make sure a lot of folks that are a little bit older understand. If you didn't know much about the media, I try to go out there and let everybody know that this is how it was and this is how it is. And if we don't adapt to change, okay, then obviously it's going to be something that it'll get past us. And by the way, get used to one of your new co-hosts, Jacob Christner, who you're going to meet in a matter of a few weeks on the Pundits. So, and I appreciate you saying that. Again, anytime you find that people are able to look for you in any way, whether it's school or not, it's always a pleasure to meet new people. And this is about power of networking, Igor. And you certainly have been able to take advantage of all your abilities to find individuals. And it just so happens that as it stands right now, we've got something that has a lot of potential to do some really good things for both sides. So that's why I look forward to these win-win situations, and that should be a lesson to everybody else. So I want to thank our special guest here on The Real and the Rare, Igor Ganapolsky, for joining us tonight. There will be more lessons of The Real and the Rare episodes, and he's just the latest one, and I expect to have a lot more in the coming months, weeks, or whatever. But it's glad to have Igor on, and get used to seeing Igor, because he ain't going away anytime soon. So on behalf of Igor Ganapolsky, my name is Scott Morgan off the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for tuning in, both audio and visually, to The Real and the Rare, and we will catch you the next time. Good night, everybody. The Sports Exchange at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, so hope you can join us. Thank you, everybody. Good night now.